You can sense the intensity as they await the arrival of the Tennessee team here at Cleveland Stadium. The number one undefeated Volunteers prepare to race onto the field. Everything is riding on this football game. So there's a special intensity, a special urgency. Here come the Volunteers. Wherever you listen throughout the world, it's football time in Tennessee.
Merry Christmas, everybody. That's right, it's me, Catfish, with Roadshow Sports, and we're going to talk a little bit of sports before the Christmas holiday. I want to know how many of you guys have got your Christmas shopping done. If you're a man, you're probably still doing your Christmas shopping. That's kind of a man thing to do. I tell you what, it's cold where I'm at, and I want to know what the weather was like. But we've got Christmas here already. If you're a Tennessee Volunteer fan, we had some great recruits. We got a great 4-star running back that we got from North Carolina. I'm just excited about Jeremy Pruitt moving my Vols up the recruiting rankings. He's doing everything I want him to do. And let's talk about this Justin Fields thing. Everybody's beating this thing into the ground. I know there's been episode after episode on ESPN about Justin Fields. And how about these players skipping the bowl game? The players going into the NFL are skipping the bowl games. Greedy Williams, Will Greer, several of them. Because they don't want to get injured. They want to make as much money as they can and don't want to risk anything. I want to know what you guys think. This show is built on you, the fans. This show belongs to you, the fans. And I want y'all to have control of Roadshow Sports. And we've got our co-host, Couch Coach on. How you doing, buddy?
Doing excellent, sir. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. While I'm fixing my OBS program, I want to know what a Georgia fan thinks about this Justin Fields thing. It's turning into a business. I'll give you a quick rundown of how I feel about it. The purist in me doesn't like it, but we're long past the purist level of collegiate athletics. The colleges are treating this like a business, and you've got to give the players the same opportunity to treat it like a business, although I don't like it. But I want to know what you think, and while you're doing that, I'm going to be fixing my program here.
Yeah, well, if you ask most Georgia fans, I think they all are going to have very different, opinions. I think everyone is on kind of board that this is a very weird situation with Fields. Everyone knew that he was a very, very high prospect coming out of school. One of the top prospects in the nation. And I think that there's different camps. There's a lot of people who felt like he didn't really understand the situation coming in and was being a baby about not being able to play right away. Then you got other people who are like, well, the coaching staff used him, very sparingly and not particularly in the best light. And so what did you expect him not to do? Not transfer? So I'm kind of in line of kind of both schools of thought. I will say this. There's a lot of politics, I think, that go on in football that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And I'm not going to go too deep into a lot of this, but what I will say is that I think there's a lot of politics in this situation that affected kind of what was going on here. I think that there's a lot of pressure on Kirby Smart to land a dynamic, dual threat African-American quarterback in the state of Georgia. Mark Richt, the previous regime, had let two of those kind of quarterbacks get out from underneath them. Deshaun Watson and Cam Newton, they both went on to win national titles in out-of-state schools. So I think there was a lot of pressure from our donors to be like, we have to get this kid. We cannot be the kind of program that keeps letting these kind of elite athletes get out from underneath us. And I think Kirby and that coaching staff kind of got to a bind because if you're really being honest about it, I don't think, Fields was particularly a great fit for our offense. I mean, I think we could have, did some things with his skill set, but it takes a really creative mind. And I don't think that's Jim Chaney. I think Georgia's identity is power, run game, play, action, pass. And I think we do need, a little bit more of a deeper passing game like we had of Aaron Murray and David Green. But as far as having these Ohio State kind of quarterbacks that are these dual threat kind of players, I don't know that's necessarily what we needed. And so it's just a very weird pickup. And on Justin Fields and his father's end, I just don't understand what they were looking at or what they were promised going into Georgia. I mean, you're coming into a situation where you have a true sophomore quarterback who the year before, as a freshman, went 12-2 and took his team to a national title. Now, there's a lot of people that say, well, he did that with the defense and Chubb and all that, but the bottom line is we weren't going to a national title with Grayson Lambert or Jacob Eason, right? So you got to give Fromm a little bit of credit there. And I just think that it was just a situation where they felt like this kid can come in there right away and be like a Trevor Lawrence and have this job opened up to him, and it just didn't work out. But I just feel like with Fields, it's like, geez, dude, I mean, you're leaving after 1 year? I mean, I get that you don't like handing off the ball, all this other kind of stuff, but, come on, man. Next year is an enormous year for Georgia. You got a fantastic team coming back. All these young pups are getting experience coming back. You're one broken ankle, one busted shoulder away from being the guy. So, you would rather sit out and transfer to a FSU or an Oklahoma or Ohio State? I just don't understand. I don't understand why these kids don't look at any commitment that they do as a 2-year commitment. 2 years will tell you what you are and where you are within that program. After 2 years, you want to transfer, makes total sense. A year, I just don't think you're deep enough in it. So yeah. I think both sides were kind of wrong. But at the end of the day, he's moved on, and he's not a Bulldog anymore, and we just have to work with the guys that we have.
Well, before we go in any further in the show, I've got a caller on hold. I'm going to be right with you. But the Allied Oil Tire hotline is open at 855-489-7623. I put up a poll on my community section of my YouTube page. It said, who's to blame for Justin Fields transferring? I gave 3 choices: Justin Fields, Jim Chaney, and Kirby Smart. Who do you think is going to shoulder most of the blame from the majority of Georgia fans?
Well, more than likely it's going to be the coaching staff. I mean, and it should be that way because whoever's making the money should shoulder the decision. Bottom line, I think it was the coaching staff. I think it was a little bit of Fields. I think it was our alum/donors that were putting a lot of pressure on Kirby. I think it was just kind of a mishmash of all of these things that didn't work out. It's just really unfortunate because I think Justin's a good kid and he's a very elite athlete. I mean, he could be the next Cam Newton, but he could also be the next Ryan Perrilloux, right? So we don't know how he's going to turn out. I'm just disappointed that he left after 1 year. I mean, 1 year in any program. I mean, Tim Tebow was a goal line specialist his first year at Florida, right? I mean, 1 year doesn't tell you anything about yourself. I just don't get how these kids feel like they can come out of high school and play against a bunch of slow kids who run 5.0 40s and expect to come into a major college football program with a team that just went to a national title without you and expect to just walk in day one and start. I just think it needs to be tempered. Something in that recruiting process needs to change. I mean, these parents, these hovercopter parents, need to be brought down to earth. It's just too much, I think.
Well, I did a reaction video on Justin Fields back in the offseason, and I see Joshua Simmons is in here. He's the one that talked me into doing it, and I hadn't seen any highlights of his high school days. And I think I even threw in some highlights of the spring game you had, and I was impressed. He is the closest thing to Cam Newton I've seen in a long time, and that term dual threat quarterback gets thrown around, and there really aren't that many true dual threat quarterbacks. It seems like that term is given to anybody that's got some wheels and can throw a little bit. There's no real true dual threat quarterbacks, and I think Justin Fields is one of those players. Now, I think the NFL has been on Justin Fields' radar since he was probably in 7th grade or playing Pee Wee football. These kids, that's what they're thinking about, and, that's a great goal. I'm not putting that down in any way, shape, or form, but they've got their eyes set on the NFL, and they make decisions based on what's going to get them there the fastest and send them up the charts, to make the most money, to have the best career in the NFL. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
He doesn't give two hoots about Georgia or wherever he goes. It's about the NFL. I'm sure they have some loyalty to their team, but that's what it's all about. That's his playing days is about getting to the NFL, and somewhere along the line, somebody has given him some advice that you're not playing 4 years. You've got 2 years to show it, and you've already wasted one. So we need to get you somewhere that can get you 1 a year or 2 years to show what you got. And I've heard he's going to Ohio State. I don't see that happening. I don't know where he could go. You mentioned in the pre-show prep about, he's one broken ankle away from starting. These kids and people don't think like that. They rather take the one bird in the hand than two in the bush. What if Fromm does stay healthy? What if Fromm lights it up and I've wasted 2 years on the bench and all that that could happen. I don't know. There's a lot to go into it. I don't blame the kid. I think it's his decision. I don't like it. I wouldn't like it if I was a Georgia fan, and if he was my son, I wouldn't tell him to do that, but he's not my son. But we're going to go to the phones before we go and talk about these bowl games. And before we do, I'm going to give some shout-outs. We got college basketball talk, Duke fan. Let me tell you something, college basketball talk. We're coming for you in the Final Four. My Vols are going to be playing Duke in the finals, and we're taking you out, son. So go ahead and accept defeat now. We got Samuel Bell is in here. Hound Dog's always in here. Sergeant AR-10. I'm going to work my way back. We got Crying Ryan is in the house. Are you going to win your bowl game, Ryan? Herbert Bradford, great Tennessee fan. Matt 7397. Let's see who else is in here. Joshua Simmons, one of the best Georgia fans out there. Let's see who else we got in here. Pop's always in here. I tell you what, Pop, since you're always in here, I'm going to give you a Christmas present. How do we do that? I'm going to make him a moderator. Now, moderators, don't be deleting anybody's comments unless it's vulgar. Let people say what they want to say. I don't care if they attack me or whatever. Vodka drinker, listen to this couch here. He's got a comment that says, I'm wondering how many handlers are assigned to Fromm in the offseason to keep him from harm. That's a good question. Brock Mumpower. Let's see. Aaron Ross, who's on hold. He's in here, obviously. Royce McGregor. Thanks for all you do, Catfish. No, thanks, Royce, for being here. This show belongs to you guys. This is y'all's show. I want y'all to be involved, and I want to know what your opinion is. Pigskin Pete. Everybody go check him out. Great Clemson fan. Him and Bobby Durkins. McGamer Mode. He says he misses watching football. You and me both, but we've got some basketball to watch. And my Vols took care of Wake Forest. But let's go to the phones. You ready? Oh, Dennis Wilson.
Yes, sir.
Dennis Wilson is in the house. I didn't see him. I don't know. I probably missed after everybody. Oh, SEC Dog. He's always in here. Gate City Blue Devil. I don't know how I missed all this. Jimmy Lovelace, great Tennessee fan. How you doing, Jimmy? The Vol General's in here. I don't know how I missed all these. But anyway, can I get 1,000 subs with no videos? Good morning, sir. Let's go to the phones. We're going to go to Maryville, Tennessee. One of our best callers, Aaron. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, man, I'm happy after that Tennessee basketball win earlier, that's for sure.
Yes, sir.
You know, to say something real fast about Justin Fields on your poll that you had posted, I put that I blame Justin Fields for that. I think these players who who are transferring after one season, and who are even the ones who are sitting out bowl games to go to the draft. I get that that's important, and that that's your future, and all kinds of money's on the line. But these colleges, they spend so long recruiting you, and like you said earlier, I don't remember if it was you who said it or Cusco, but there should be a bigger commitment to these schools that you're signing to, and like a bowl game, that's the most important game of the season. That's what you work all season to get to, and for you to sit out, it just seems like you're, kind of dissing on your team. And same with Justin Fields. I feel like after one season, heck, we saw what happened in the national championship. Hurts decided not to transfer, and Tua goes down, and Hurts gets the opportunity to win the national championship. It could be the same thing next year with, if Fields had stayed with Georgia. Fromm could go down, and it could be Fields' season to win.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. And I think that, kind of going back on the university deal, I mean, again, you're going to have varying points of view about, just how valuable some of these college educations are. But the line is, these college degrees do lower admission standards to get these athletes in there. They do create these degrees, right, that these football players can use theoretically in the future. And let's assume for a second that you're not going to play NFL football for the next 50 years, right? Which is all of these guys, right? So what are you going to do if the NFL doesn't work out, right? I mean, there's got to be some kind of contingency there that's beyond just like, we're going to go play football. Okay, well, you play football for, let's say you're an all-pro for 15 to 20 years, right? You make your money. Cool. You're probably 5 to 10% of the college football athletes that come out of college that do that. So I just think at some point somebody needs to really look after these kids and really give them some good advice about, hey, it might be good to kind of think beyond 2 years ahead of time, right? So,
yeah, and you look at all kinds of players that I think the quarterback position in the NFL is cursed for college quarterbacks coming in, because you've got like Tim Tebow, for example, phenomenal in college, laid an egg in the NFL. You've got players like A.J. McCarron from Alabama, who I thought that he was fine at Alabama. I thought he was good at Alabama, but he hasn't done anything in the NFL. Most college quarterbacks do not make it in the NFL. You have to be exemplary to make it in the NFL. And for somebody to think that, especially somebody like Justin Fields, who I think Justin Fields is a great quarterback, but I don't think he's Baker Mayfield or Tim Tebow caliber quarterback. I think for him,
and I don't want to sound like some old man dogging out, these kids today, right? But I will say that at some point, these hovercopter parents have to quit rigidly controlling these kids' futures. We're going to plan these kids' futures to the utmost. Oh, you might get hurt in this bowl game. Well, why don't we put them in bubble wrap and let them walk around campus? You didn't mind them playing in 12 games prior to that. You didn't mind them getting hurt then. So what does it matter if you play in a bowl game? I just think, in the NFL draft, that's a whole other variable. I mean, you could be projected to go in the second round. You don't land until the fifth round. You're just trying to control something that they don't have any control over at the end of the day. And I just think that there's thousands of examples of people who played in their bowl game and got to the NFL and had a great career, right? And there's probably 10 guys who got, or 100 guys even throughout the course of college football in the last 50 years who got hurt in their bowl game and didn't make it in the NFL. So I just think that it's this irrational fear that's driving people to get to the NFL. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. It needs to get scaled back. These kids need to learn. They need to get into a system, regardless if the NFL is their goal. And people need to start looking out for these kids, bottom line.
Well, I know that.
And I think.
Let me jump in here. I've had an idea. Back in the 90s, you compare the 90s to now, The medical technology is light years ahead of the 90s, and you didn't have players skipping bowl games in the 90s. The ACL injury is not the same injury it used to be. You have one of the greatest collegiate quarterbacks in history, Peyton Manning, injured in the SEC championship game. He still played against Nebraska in the bowl game because it meant something to him. Now, I don't blame these players for skipping the bowl games, but I do blame you if you're a quarterback. Will Greer skipping the bowl game is letting the whole team down. He's telling all the entire state of West Virginia, I mean more than your pride. I mean more than you winning and your college experience. That's what he's telling the team, and I'm surprised that he skipped out, because the quarterbacks don't get injured like running backs and wide receivers, and defensive players are taking the hits. Yeah, they still get hit a few times. But anyway, Aaron, I've got a caller on hold. Did you have anything else you wanted to add there? I'm sorry for interrupting there. Are you there? I guess.
Yeah, I was. I couldn't remember what I was gonna say.
Sorry about that.
It obviously wasn't important.
Well, I appreciate you calling. What about this? How do you pronounce his name? Quavarius Crouch. Tell me what you know about him. I hear he's, was a big get for us. He chose us over Clemson and Michigan and a lot of other schools. I mean, you're in Knoxville. What are they saying about him?
He sounds like he's the real deal. It sounds like I was surprised that we got him, because I'm not saying anything about Tennessee. Obviously, I'm the biggest Tennessee fan in the world, but Clemson has been in the playoffs for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, for you to choose Tennessee over a team that, I'm not going to say that it's guaranteed that they'll be in the playoffs next year, or that they'll be winning national championships in the future. But for you to choose Tennessee over a team like that, it really says something about Jeremy Pruitt and his recruiting style. And you know what? It's got me really excited.
It is. I'm really excited, and they say this Solomon kid, I think we've got a chance for, was it Aubrey Solomon? I don't know if he's made a decision yet, but there's a lot out there. We're moving up the rankings, and Butch Jones had a lot of great classes, and he didn't do anything with them. I think that's going to be different with Jeremy Pruitt. But anyway, Aaron, I appreciate you calling. I'm going to go grab another call. Thanks, buddy.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
Well, we're going to go to the 629. Let's see. What do you think about players skipping the bowl games? Caller.
How you doing, Catfish? How you doing, Catfish? It's the Vol General. How you doing today?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. Well, when it comes to players skipping bowl games, obviously it's used to. I just can't imagine doing that, because you got to play for your teammates. You got to play for your college, for your team, for your coach. And I just couldn't imagine ever not doing that in a bowl game, because you just got to do that for your players to your left and to your right. You got to do that for your teammates. I can't believe anybody would not do that. I get you go in the NFL next level. You don't want to risk injury, but you got to play for your teammates, man. I couldn't believe anybody would do that.
Yeah, I think that nothing about this too is, every position kind of gets judged in a different way, right? Like if you're a defensive tackle, you skip the Beef O'Brady's bowl, people just kind of shrug their shoulders. But there's just something like Catfish said about Will Greer leaving that just rubs people the wrong way. And I'm going to judge you more harshly if you're in a leadership position, right? And quarterback is a leadership position. I expect a wide receiver to be a diva. I expect an offensive lineman or a left tackle to be like, hey, I'm going to be in the first round, because that's where a lot of these guys get these tackles. But you're, as a quarterback, there's something about being with your guys to the end. And when you leave, and especially in an offense like West Virginia, where it's really built around Will Greer, it's just completely harpooning the whole thing. And I just think that it's poor form. And at some point, I think kind of the previous caller was right. I mean, I think there does need to be at least a focus, again, with these commitments about, look, we're looking for a 2-year commitment out of these guys. 2 years to an 18-year-old kid seems like 10 years, but it's nothing. I mean, and I just think that, look at it, let me put it this way. Nick and Sony could have went to the NFL after 2016, right? They gave this coaching staff at Georgia 2 years. And if they left in 2016, they would have been 3rd, 4th round guys in the NFL draft. They played another year, played in a Rose Bowl, played a national title. Sony went in the 1st round. Nick went to the 2nd round. So there's a lot to be said about playing another year, playing in a higher caliber bowl, playing in these bowl games, and raising your NFL draft stock. And kind of the last thing I want to say about that is, if you're an NFL GM and I see a bunch of mercenaries out here, let me just throw $10 million on a guy who might quit on his team. Oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea, right? So it's something to look at moving forward. I don't know.
Well, Gate City Blue Devil mentioned something in the comments that Will Greer was one of those guys that transferred early in his career, and that showed that he had, of course, didn't he have some problems at Florida that caused him to transfer, steroids or something? I don't remember, but anyway, he had some issues at Florida. But I agree with you, that leadership position, you're quitting on your team. I agree with everything you said about that, and I want everybody that is in the comment section. I'm going to try to get back with you and do another. See, Alan V is in here. A few others have checked in since I did a shout out to everybody, but I wanted to let y'all know that I'm transitioning. I've got so many people that watch me that aren't Tennessee fans, and this show, I'll always be a Tennessee fan, but this show has been more SEC centric than Tennessee centric. So I'm in the process of slowly shifting the show to Roadshow Sports, but I'm still going to have my Tennessee stuff on. I'm still going to hoot and holler. I'm still going to say we're going 15-0. I promise you that, or a bowl game or anything like that. I'm still going to be the same guy, but I want to welcome all the fans out there of other teams that are out there. And there's so many of you that aren't Tennessee fans, and it means the world to me that y'all check in to listen to what a trucker has to say, and this show belongs to you guys. But anyway, Vol General, I want to know about recruiting. You get to listen to it more than I do. Tell me more about Tennessee recruiting, and I want to hear people call in and talk about their team. I'm sure Couch Coach can tell us a little bit about Georgia. I see they've got what do they rate, number 1 or number 2 between them and Alabama, Couch Coach, as far as the rankings? And you told me before there really isn't that much difference between 1 through 5. But anyway, Vol General, tell me what's going on about Tennessee and this Aubrey Solomon. Do we have a chance at him? There's some people say he's already committed to Tennessee, transfer. Yeah, what do you know?
He committed. Well, he committed to Tennessee yesterday around 12 o'clock.
Wow.
Nobody really saw that coming. He was expected to go to Georgia or another school, but nobody was really giving Tennessee a chance. I heard it. Tracy Rocker, the reason he was fired at Georgia, Couch Coach, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there was a conflict with Georgia and Tracy Rocker because of his mother, Aubrey Solomon. She denies that, but if it was reported, I believe it. I'm not sure if that's right or not, but I read that somewhere. So people were really counting Tennessee out a lot. And then just around 12 o'clock Central Time, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, I was just scrolling through Twitter, and Tennessee football, a new tweet came out, and I clicked on it, and I said, "Welcome to Tennessee, welcome to Rocky Top, Aubrey Solomon."
Wow.
And I clicked on it, I saw he announced. Nobody saw that coming. That's a huge gift for Tennessee. The Georgia fans wanted him badly. I think they're weak on the defensive line, defensive tackle. That's a huge gift for Jeremy Pruitt. A lot of the guys on their coaching staff were recruited him out of high school. That's huge for Tennessee. And then a couple hours later, around 6. Quivers Crouch, the former number 1 player in the nation. By the way, he should be a 5-star. The only reason he's not is because he got injured and wasn't able to play a lot his senior year. He's announced he's going to play a linebacker for Tennessee. It's been a huge, and then the Tennessee basketball team wins this morning, so it's been a huge 24 hours for Tennessee athletics as a whole.
Well, I was reading something where he was listed as an athlete because he played both defense and running back. So you're saying he's going to play defense at Tennessee?
Yeah, when he announced on his local news channel, they asked him what he was going to play, and he said that Coach Pruitt wanted him to play linebacker. He played some running back in there too, but mainly linebacker.
Yeah. Well, I'm just excited to be a Tennessee fan, and our recruiting. I'm excited for what Jeremy Pruitt's done. He's doing a solid job, and I appreciate you calling, Vol General. I'm gonna run and grab another call, and then I'm gonna start wrapping this show up.
One more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
One more thing. Yeah, 5-star offensive tackle Darnell Wright. He's also trending with the Vols. Crystal Ball has him. There's about a 90% chance to come to Tennessee.
Really?
And a few others. Tennessee can land him.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
Tennessee
great.
will most likely take the top 10 recruiting class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I hadn't heard that. I always enjoy your recruiting updates. You get to listen to it a lot more than me, so I appreciate you calling in, buddy.
Yep.
Well, we're gonna go to the 912 and talk Georgia football and Justin Fields. Let's see. Who do you blame if Justin Fields transfers? Who do you blame? Kirby Smart, Jim Chaney, or Justin Fields?
That's a hard question. I think it would be Jim Chaney because top offense is running, but Aubrey Solomon, y'all got all pick up Aubrey Solomon from right about 45 miles from where I'm at right now, because that's where he's from.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Justin Fields thing is. And how I got to know you, it's through Uncle Lou. Uncle Lou, and I think a lot of Uncle Lou, and my condolences for his mother passed. But I'm like him. Justin Fields become a distraction to Georgia football, and but we picked up a good person by good quarterback, Stetson Bennett. And he had left when Justin Fields had come in, and but that was a good get. But I'm like Uncle Lou. Fields become a distraction, and if he goes by, if he stays, we'll accept him, you know. But it's just I ain't got no doubt he's an athlete. I kept up with him all through high school, but you know, and Georgia has been over backwards for this fella, and I just think it becomes a distraction catfish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's a great. You know, I'm a big biography nerd, and I like these NFL kind of stories. And there's a story about Dick Vermeil when he was with the UCLA Bruins. And he was talking about how he's competing against USC. And he's like, man, we lost some really good recruits to USC. And he was at UCLA at a time when, the basketball coach, John,
Wooden.
oh, come on, help me with this guy.
John Wooden.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
John Wood was there, and he said, listen, don't worry about those guys you lost. Focus on those guys that are in this locker room here and make them the best you can. And that's what Georgia's got to do moving forward. Look at this situation like, okay, we didn't handle this situation very well. And, you know, I think we need to worry about these guys that are in that locker room, which are some very good football players. And I think you come together and you be like, hey, we're going to make these guys that we got the best we can. And we could have a very special season next year. I mean, there's no reason why we can't. And I just think that,
That's right.
Yeah, you know, just move forward.
I saw
I mean, you know, and Jim Chaney, and I don't know if Jim Chaney even knows, and I've been in and out with Jim Chaney. I don't even know if he knew how to utilize this guy. I don't really know if he knows how to utilize him.
Yeah.
But it's been good talking to you, Catfish. I'm gonna let you go, and I enjoy your show, man.
Man, I really appreciate
great,
it.
man. I'm a dog, but I'm a dog, but I like listening to your show, man. You're doing a good job, and keep it up, dude.
Well, the Georgia Bulldogs have overrun the Volunteer Roadshow. They're by far my biggest viewership, and it's because of my buddy Uncle Lou. Me and him, he's helped me a lot behind the scenes with my show, and he's a good friend of mine. And I want everybody to say a prayer for him and his family with his mother passing here recently. But anyway, I appreciate you calling in, buddy.
Okay, take care, bud.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Couch Coach, there's a stat I saw somewhere. I don't know if I texted this to you, but there's a stat out there with 5-star quarterback recruits that 75% of them. This can't be right. I'm just taking their word for it. Everything you read on the internet is true, and that's a quote by Abraham. That's a quote by Abraham Lincoln. But anyway, that 75% of all 5-star quarterbacks end up transferring at some point in their collegiate career. Are you buying that?
That seems pretty high, but I'll say this. I was talking with Small Dog Garrett, the other night about kind of this, whole recruiting / Justin Fields situation. And, I think part of it is if you look at these guys like Nick Saban and you look at, because everyone tries to compare himself to Nick. If you look at the way Nick recruits, he murders it on the 4 stars, right? Like his class right now is number 1. He's got something like 21 4 stars or something like that. And because what he knows is that these 4 stars, a lot of them are really 5-star players.
Yeah.
And so that's where you really have to look at. You have to look at, it's kind of like in the NFL draft where you'll see like the New England Patriots. It's like they don't murder it in the first round. They murder it like in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round where they get those value picks. And there's just more of them, and they're going to be better football players because there's more of them. And I think that they're looking for fit. They're looking for value. They're looking for guys that are going to fit within the context of what they're trying to do. And that's what Kirby, I think, needs to learn from this situation. And this is his maturation going into his 4th year as a head coach. It's not just about grabbing the best players. It's about having a plan and utilizing them and really getting the most out of them when they're here.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. There's a lot that goes into you brought up Bill Belichick and Saban. There's a lot of similarities. A lot of people call Nick Saban the Belichick of college football, but I think a lot of their genius isn't so much the in-game calls or it's just an amalgamation of a lot of things. But I think one of the things that doesn't give a lot of credit by people is their scouting departments. Bill Belichick can go get somebody that was waived off of a team, turn them into something. He sees something in them. You get Saban. He sees something in a 3 or 4 star that he can make into an All-American. And I think that's so much of these rankings because who knows what a player is going to turn out to be. I've seen a ton of 5-star recruits turn out to be 2 stars by the time they're done and out of and delivering mail or driving a truck for a living when they get done. And I've seen a bunch of 2- and 3-star players that have heart and just get in the right situation that go on to the NFL. So there's a lot of rolling the dice in these recruiting rankings, and I don't pay a lot of stock into it. I know it's great for us fans. It's sort of a ranking thing, and we're all addicted to rankings. Where are we ranked? How can we argue about these rankings and who should be ranked higher than the other? But I think there's just a lot that goes in with Saban and even Kirby Smart with their scouting department. They've got a lot of people that are scouring these high schools and trying to find those players that may be underranked or whatever, not getting a lot of attention, and that's where they hit home runs.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, what else do we got to talk about? We got Christmas. Did you get all your Christmas shopping done?
Like a typical guy, I am still shopping. I'm almost done, but I am still plugging away. Online, I've got all my online purchases, but yes.
We need to start a petition for Walmart and Target and all these places to stay open till at least noon on Christmas Day. I mean, that really knocks a lot of us guys out that maybe got too busy on Christmas Eve. And, they should at least open up for a couple hours. I think they could do a lot of business if they just open up for this 2 or 3 hours. I don't know what you think about that, but there needs to be something besides a convenience store open that you can grab a gift.
Well, and I tell you what, and what our family's done over the years is we've been really big on getting family experiences and kind of getting bigger kind of ticket items like that. And I got to tell you, a couple years ago, my sister bought, my brother and I tickets to the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta when it just opened. And, and if you're looking for a great gift for a college football fan, any college football fan, that's it. You spend the day in Atlanta on a Saturday by Centennial Park. You go to the College Football Hall of Fame. If you're already as a college football fan, I highly suggest you do. It's a must-see for any college football fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear that's a great place. I've always wanted to go to some of these places. I drive by, but I don't know how many times. I go by the NFL Hall of Fame. I mean, I see the building, I see the statue, I see everything. I don't know, 10 or 12 times a year I drive right by that building. I go by all these places, and I've never taken the time to stop, and I've always wanted to. It's hard when you're in a truck to find a place to park, but they got Uber now, so I can get me an Uber. I'm going to start my bucket list is going to some of these places like the College Football Hall of Fame, who Peyton Manning was inducted here a year or two ago, and he had a great speech for that. But anyway, I guess that's all we got to talk about. Is there anything else that's coming up? Any bowl games that's going to come up before Christmas? What's going on with football on Christmas? Any NFL that's going on? Who's got the Christmas Day games?
Next week. Well, next week are the big games, obviously, with the playoff games on the 29th on next Saturday. And then, of course, you got, some of the regular games that have been kind of moved up that were typically on New Year's Day. And so, it seems like the bowl games are kind of spread out a little bit, and they've kind of reconfigured the college football playoff, which I like about it this year is that they moved it before the New Year's Day to make those games a little bit more special, and then it kind of gives the teams playing in the actual championship game a little bit more time to recoup and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, we got Alabama, of course, and Oklahoma. Then we got Clemson and Notre Dame, and we got South Carolina playing, Virginia, Auburn. I think they're playing. Oh, I forget who they're playing, but anyway, all those teams are playing next Saturday, I believe.
Well, it's exciting. That's one good thing about Christmas and Thanksgiving is there's always games that you can watch with your family, because we got to get in as much of this football as we can, because you know what, it's going to be over before we know it. We're going to say, where in the world did this season go? It seems like every year the season goes by faster and faster and faster. I know it has a lot to do with my age. I'm on the doorstep of getting that senior discount at Denny's. That probably has a lot to do with it, but we got to enjoy it while we can. We just got a month or two left of it, and then we're going to be full-fledged basketball, and then we're going to be into nothing. But anyway, everybody like this video, this live stream. If you like it, hit the thumbs down. If you don't, and if you're new here, hit that subscription button and that bell notification, and you'll get notified every time I do a live show. And this show is really, I say this all the time, Couch Coach, this show really is built on all the fans out there that watch me. And it's really why I do this, and I appreciate it. So if you're not new to the show, you know what's coming next. Thanks for tuning in. Go Vols! The Tennessee men's basketball team is going to the Final Four. I promise you that.